Aloha and Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everyone. Um, this is Cathy Bilsky, the Quantum Leap Let Light Unite show on UPRN Radio. And this is December 24th, or depending on where you live on the planet, December 25th. And I got my Christmas garb on. Today, I thought we would do something very light and breezy because we've been doing so much energy work. And I was going to share with you some of my cute holiday stories. And, some are funny and some are just heartwarming. And before I do that, I jump into that. I mean, this is one of my favorite shows to do, okay? The funny stuff. I wanted to say thank you, everyone that participated in the World Enlightenment event today. It was amazing. The energy was amazing. We had a small group at my store, and we all decided we wanted to be anonymous. So we literally kept the camera on my big Earth Keeper crystal, which is behind me. And that's what we wanted people to put the energy through and really, really amplify it. And right before we started, my God, the energy, it was like spirit, and everybody started. And I started shaking. And this happened to some of the other people too. And in the beginning, when I'm trying to introduce everything, I just started crying. I couldn't help it. Have a human moment. The energies were so powerful. And then on and off during the event, I mean, all of us were in tears at one time or another. And it was so touching. We knew what we were doing. We knew the energy we're putting out there. And we knew we were going to affect the planet in some incredible way. So blessings on all you guys. And I hope God sends you some of your heart's desires. And, I've also posted the video of us chanting. So if you want to keep the energy going, even tomorrow, you can put it on in the background and it will amplify and keep snowballing. Now, what I found when I've done these events, it can take 1 to 2 months before the energy hits the earth and we see something really profound. And I'm really praying to the divine and ask that it manifests way quicker than that. And when it does, we can actually see it and recognize it. All right, let's have some fun. So this is my fun stuff. I gathered all my Christmas things that I couldn't do during the year, funny stories, and just some funny stories I think is really, really funny. Okay, well, I hope you do too. So for those of you, that this is Christmas Eve, you might be wrapping gifts or you might have already unwrapped them and, you've got nothing to do but relax. So just, listen and laugh. All right, the first one is 12 Days of Facebook. I know. Oh my God, I am so sorry. Before I get into this, I also wanted to give special thanks to the people who actually helped create the World Enlightenment event. And that's all my friends that really supported me. For Wix, Wix allowed me to help put together this incredible forum site for the event. And believe me, I could not have done it myself or have put together something so elegant. So they're really, they made it easy to work with. And go ahead, if you haven't seen the forum site, you need to check it out. It is outstanding. And I also wanted to thank Mark Benioff for encouraging me not to give up because I did have a few moments there and really opened some doors for me. And then there was Sani IT Solution, who really did an amazing job with promoting this. And, also they do web design and they did my website for my Angel Light Ohm. So check that out. Again, their work is outstanding and oh my God, so affordable. And I also want to give a special shout out and a thank you to Joe Montaldo, who owns the radio station, who actually allowed us to have free radio time to put on the event. And that is really special because the thing went worldwide, which is really exciting. And I can honestly say, I don't think I've ever had an event that has been able to go out like this before. So I'm excited. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. Okay. Now, I know my voice isn't really good, but put up with me, okay? It's Christmas Eve or Christmas, depending on where you are. Okay. On the 12th day of Christmas, Facebook gave to me 12 freaks I'm blocking, 11 friends just watching, 10 corny topics, 9 broken friendships, 8 complaining relatives, 7 stalkers stalking, 6 party inviters, 5 drama queens, 4 game requests, 3 photo tags, 2 friends on Poe, and a creep who won't stop inboxing me. All right. Now, this is, honest to God, one of my funniest stories. And oh my God, you cannot, I cannot get through this without really laughing. And when you listen to this, I know you got to laugh too. And now, when I'm reading this, I want you in your mind's eye to really picture this, okay? Okay, it's called Only a Man Would Attempt This. I want to put my glasses on for this. Okay. Okay, only a man would attempt this. Okay, a guy who purchased his lovely wife a pocket taser for Christmas submitted this. Last weekend, I saw something at Larry's Pistol and Pawn Shop that sparked my interest. The occasion was our 15th Christmas, and I was looking for a little something extra for my wife, Julie. When I came across was 100,000 volt pocket purse size taser. The effects of the taser were supposed to be short lived with no long term adverse effect on your assailant, allowing her adequate time to retreat to safety. Way too cool. Long story short, I bought the device, I brought it home. I loaded 2 AAA batteries in the darn thing and pushed the button. Nothing. I was disappointed. I learned, however, that if I pushed the button and pressed it against a metal surface at the same time, I'd get the blue arc of electricity darting back and forth between the prongs. Awesome. Unfortunately, I have yet to explain to Julie what that burn spot is on the face of her microwave. Okay, so I was home alone with this new toy, thinking to myself that it couldn't be all that bad with only 2 AAA batteries, right? There I sat in my recliner, my cat Gracie looking on intently, trusting little soul, while I was reading the directions and thinking that I really needed to try this thing out on flesh and blood moving target. I must admit, I thought about zapping Gracie for a fraction of a second and thought better of it. She's such a sweet cat. But if I was going to give this thing to my wife to protect her against a mugger, I did want some assurance that it would work as advertised. Am I wrong? So there I sat in a pair of shorts and a tank top with my reading glasses perched delicately on the bridge of my nose, directions in one hand and a taser in another. The directions said that a 1 second burst would shock and disorient your assailant. A 2 second burst was supposed to cause muscle spasm and a major loss of bodily control. A 3 second burst would purportedly make your assailant flop on the ground, fish like a fish out of water. Any burst longer than 3 seconds would be wasting the batteries. All the while, I'm looking at this little device measuring about 5 inches long, less than 3/4 inch in circumference. Pretty cute, really, and loaded with 2 itsy bitsy AAA batteries. thinking to myself, "Oh, no possible way." What happened next is almost beyond description, but I'll do my best. So I'm sitting there alone, Gracie looking on with her head cocked to one side as if to say, "Don't do it, dipshit." Reasoning that a 1 second burst from such a tiny little old thing couldn't hurt all that bad, I decided to give myself a 1 second burst just for the heck of it. I touched the prongs to my naked thigh, pushed the bottom, and holy mother of God, weapons of mass destruction. What the hell? I'm pretty sure if Jesse Ventura ran in through the side door, picked me up in the recliner, then body slammed us both on the carpet over and over and over again. I vaguely recall waking up on my side in the fetal position with, with tears in my eyes, body soaking wet, both nipples on fire, testicles nowhere to be found, with my left arm tucked under my body in the oddest position, and tingling in my legs. The cat was making meowing sounds I had never heard before, clinging to a picture frame hanging above the fireplace, obviously in an attempt to avoid getting slammed by my body flopping all over the living room. Note, if you ever feel compelled to mug yourself with a taser, one note of caution. There is no such thing as a 1 second burst when you zap yourself. You will not let go of that thing until it's dislodged from your hand by a violent thrashing about on the floor. A 3 second burst would be considered conservative. It hurt like hell. A moment or so later, and I can't be sure, as time was a relative thing at that point, I collected my wits, what little I had left, sat up and surveyed the landscape. My bent reading glasses were on the mantle of the fireplace. The recliner was upside down and about 8 feet or so from where it originally was. My triceps, right thigh and both nipples, were still twitching. My face felt like it had been shot up with Novocaine, and my bottom lip weighed 88 pounds. I had no control over the drool. Apparently, I pooped myself, but was too numb to know for sure, and my sense of smell was gone. I saw a faint smoke cloud above my head, which I believe came from my hair. I'm still looking for my nuts, and I'm offering a significant reward for their safe return. I'm sorry, but did you guys picture that? I mean, every time I read this, I can't stop laughing. It cracks me up. Oh, P.S. My wife can't stop laughing about my experience. Love the gift, and now regularly threatens me with it. If you think education is difficult, try being stupid. Oh my God. Uh, oh, is it just me or was it funny? Okay, all right. Okay, this was twas the night before Christmas 2020 because I haven't seen the 2021 yet. All right. 'Twas the year 2020, and all through the house every creature was stirring, from human to mouse. The stockings were tossed on the chimney. Who cares? It's been months since we entertained. Would Saint Nick even dare? The children were nestled all snug in their beds as vision of rubber gloves danced in their heads, and Mama in her gaiter and me in my mask had just settled our brains for a long cleaning task When out on a roof there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my mop to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash. I peeked through the shutter, barely touching the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave me faith that someday we'd have somewhere to go. When, what do my wandering eye should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 spotless reindeer? With the little old driver decked out in full gear, I knew in a moment we'd have Christmas this year. More safely than hazmat, the reindeer came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Clorox, now Pine Sol, now Lysol and Purex, on Comet, on Purell, on Top Job, and Germex. Wipe the top of the porch, then the top of the wall. Now wipe away, wipe away, wipe away all. I want Santa to come to my house with this stuff, but don't start outside, start inside, right? Okay, sorry. As dry leaves sat before the wild hurricane fly, when they finished and then took a jump to the sky. So up to the housetop the reindeer they flew, with a sleigh full of masks and St. Nicholas too. We need to have a talk with Santa about the mask, don't you think? And then in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the pawing of each little rubber gloved hoof. Oh my God. Oh, yeah. I think Santa's a little hypochondriac. What do you think? Mm. As I pulled up my mask and was turning around down the chimney, a big bucket came with a bound. It was covered in plastic from bottom to top, and the contents were sterile despite the long drop. I miss seeing his eyes and his dimples so merry, but this virus prevents that. These times are so scary. This is another paranoid guy. What do you think? Just saying. I imagine his face and his little round belly that shook when he laughed like hand sanitizer jelly. But I saw him outside though, and as he stood near his sleigh, and I laughed when I saw him from 6 feet away. Guy's got hugging issues. With a wink of his eye and a wave of his hand, I felt warm inside. Santa, too, understands because he's a hypochondriac and he doesn't like to touch people either. Okay. I filled all our stockings and turned with a jerk, and laying a finger inside of his mask, the reindeer rose up. They had finished their task. He waved to me then, to his team gave a shout, and social distancing quickly flew out. Oh my God. But I heard him proclaim as he drove out of sight, Merry Christmas to all. We will all be all right. Now, that was last year. And what are they trying to put through us this year? Doesn't this seem kind of dumb? Yeah. So remember that, okay? Just saying. All right. Okay, next. Okay, this is Christmas from a mother's point of view. As I've wallowed in Christmas music the last couple of weeks, I pondered the tradition of the Christmas story, and I've come to a conclusion. Mary was shafted. There she is, 8+ months pregnant, having been dragged all over Israel on the back of a darn donkey. I know that when I was 8 months pregnant, I had a hard time riding for 2 hours in a car to attend my father-in-law's funeral. And men just do not understand how often one has to pee when there's a baby sitting on one's bladder, especially when one's been jiggled by travel. Do you think Joseph cheerfully stopped every 15 minutes for a potty break, heaving Mary on and off the donkey with nary a complaint? I mean, he didn't even get the fun of the conception. I mean, that had to have had some effect on his equanimity during the pregnancy. So they pull into Bethlehem, and Joseph can't even come up with a room at the Motel 6. Mary must have felt as if her damn back was breaking even before she went into labor. And let's think about that for a little bit, shall we? Mary was a first time mother. Her labor would have lasted a long, long time. I mean, I went for 23 hours between my water breaking and the delivery of my eldest child. So I'm guessing Mary was in labor for 12 hours at least, and with no option for an epidural. Now, for you guys that don't know what an epidural is, that's what they give women that freezes us. So we really can't feel the contractions. Okay. All right. Yeah, I suppose God could have given Mary a short and pain free labor, but after all, she was doing him a pretty darn big favor being a surrogate mother and all. But were that the case, I'm pretty sure that would have been mentioned as one of the miracles of the miraculous birth. Besides, this is a male God. He wouldn't have thought of giving Mary a break. It's just one of those women things. And speaking of women things, who delivered baby Jesus? There's no mention of any women being around. Did Joseph run for a midwife? And if so, why don't we know about it? We do know about that Joseph couldn't assist. For one thing, he didn't know nothing about birthing no babies. I mean, come on, Mary was a first time mother, but Joseph wasn't even a first time father. Ouch. Besides, according to the Jewish laws concerning Niddah, at the point when labor became really painful, Mary was a Voldette, a woman giving birth and unclean. Not Joseph, nor the innkeeper, nor the shepherds, nor any other Jewish man could touch her. She was on her own. Beyond that, what was Mary using for a bed? We know all about the little Lord Jesus being tucked away in a manger after the fact, but what did Mary labor upon? I doubt that the innkeeper kept a birthing stool handy, especially not in the barn. So I'm guessing our poor girl was relegated to a pile of straw in a cow barn full of fodder and cow crap. Do you think Mary suffered in all and stoic silence? I mean, if Mary was like most women, she was likely cursing the male who got her in that condition and that position, especially since he had it in his power to spare her the entire ordeal. Jesus was born of a woman. That was the whole idea of God made man, wasn't it? And a real woman would have been screaming her head off, cursing Father, Son, and Holy Ghost for good measure. So here we have Mary, who had jogged around the countryside on a donkey, not getting a decent night's sleep in weeks, having labored mightily to bring forth the Christ child with no assistance from a knowledgeable woman, bedded down in stable, lying on pokey, scratchy straw amongst the oxen and cows and ducks and sheep and all the other crap which comes from livestock. The poor girl needs some rest. I know that after I gave birth, the last thing I wanted was a parade of visitors. All I wanted was some blasted sleep. But poor Mary, what happened to her? Why, a veritable convention broke out. First, there were the animals in the barn. The cattle are lowing. The poor baby wakes. Then the shepherds arrive with their flocks. You don't think they left them out in the pastures unguarded, do you? Those sheep were the only wealth they had. They wouldn't just leave them there. But it was those damn angels with their trumpets and their harps of gold bending near the earth to sing, "Hark! Glory to the newborn king." Oh, yeah, the angels did a great friggin' job. By the time they were finished singing on high with the mountains echoing the joy strains to come to Bethlehem and see, heaven and nature singing and repeating the sounding joy in the song high above the trees with a voice as big of the seas, everyone and their brother, but no sisters, to tend to Mary, had been called to traipse through the cow barn and stare at the baby. There was no consideration at all of what Mary needed. The wise men show up with gold, frankincense, and myrrh for Jesus. They could have at least have brought a pacifier to keep the baby quiet, and Mary could really have used a fluffy down comforter or some nice bath salts. I don't know, although frankincense would have been useful for covering up the stench of the cow crap. Oh my God, they even end up referring to Jesus as the Son of Man when there was no man involved in the whole process, just a Godhead and a woman. By the time the little drummer boy arrived, Mary probably grabbed a shepherd's crook and beat the kid with it, and then broke the frigging drum and wailed crap on the shepherds, the wise men, the angels, the sheep, and Joseph for good measure. It would have been the only way she would have gotten a silent frigging night. All right, I'm on a roll. I know. Okay, this one's heartwarming. Okay. The old man sat in his gas station on a cold Christmas Eve. He hadn't been anywhere in years since his wife had passed away. It was just another day to him. He didn't hate Christmas, just couldn't find a reason to celebrate. He was sitting there looking at the snow that had been falling for the last hour and wondering what it was all about when the door opened and a homeless man stepped through. Instead of throwing the man out, old George, as we have known by his customers, told the man to come and sit by the heater and warm up. Thank you, but I don't mean to intrude, said the stranger. I see you're busy. I'll just go. Not without something hot in your belly, George said. He turned and opened a wide-mouthed thermos and handed it to the stranger. It ain't much, but it's hot and tasty stew. Made it myself. When you're done, there's coffee and it's fresh. Just at that moment, he heard the ding of the driveway bell. Excuse me, I'll be right back, George said. There in the driveway was an old 53 Chevy. Steam was rolling out of the front. The driver was panicked. Mister, can you help me? Said the driver with a deep Spanish voice. My wife is with child and my car is broken. George opened the hood. It was bad. The block looked cracked from the cold. The car was dead. You ain't going anywhere in this thing, George said as he turned away. But, mister, please help. The door of the office closed behind George as he went inside. He went to the office wall and got the keys to his old truck and went back outside. He walked around the building, opened the garage, started the truck, and drove it around to where the couple was waiting. Here, take my truck, he said. She ain't the best thing you ever looked at, but she runs real good. George helped put the woman in the truck and watched as it sped off into the night. He turned and walked back inside the office. Glad I gave him the truck. Their tires were shot too. That old truck has brand new. George thought he was talking to the stranger, but the man had gone. The thermos was on the desk, empty, with a used coffee cup beside it. Well, at least he got something in his belly, George thought. George went back outside to see if that old Chevy would start. It cranked slowly, but it started. He pulled it into the garage where the truck had been. He thought he would tinker with it for something to do. Christmas Eve meant no customers. He discovered the block hadn't cracked. It was just the bottom hose on the radiator. Well, shoot, I can fix this, he said to himself, so he put a new one on. Those tires ain't gonna get him through winter either. He took the snow treads off his wife's old Lincoln. They were like new, and he wasn't going to drive the car anyway. As he was working, he heard shots being fired. He ran outside, and beside a police car, an officer lay on the cold ground, bleeding from the left shoulder. The officer moaned, "Please, help me." George helped the officer inside as he remembered the training he had received in the Army as a medic. He knew the wound needed attention. Pressure to stop the bleeding, he thought. The uniform company had been there that morning and he had left clean shop towels. He used those and duct tape to bind the wound. Hey, they say duct tape can fix anything, he said, trying to make the policeman feel at ease. Something for pain, George thought. All he had were the pills he used for his back. These ought to work. He put some in water and gave the policeman, he put some water in a cup and gave the policeman the pills. You hang in there. I'm going to get you an ambulance. The phone was dead. Maybe I can get one of your buddies on that there talk box out in your car. He went out to find that the bullet had gone into the dashboard, destroying the two-way radio. He went back in to find the policeman sitting up. Thanks, said the officer. You could have left me there. The guy shot me is still in the area. George sat down beside him. I would never leave an injured man in the Army, and I ain't gonna leave you. George pulled back the bandage to check for the bleeding. Looks worse than what it is. The bullet passed right through you. Good thing it missed the important stuff, though. I think with time you're going to be right as rain. George got up and poured a cup of coffee. How do you take it? He asked. None for me, said the officer. Oh, you're going to drink this. Best in the city. Too bad I ain't got no donuts. The officer laughed and winced at the same time. The front door of the office flew open and in burst a young man with a gun. Give me all your cash. Do it now. The young man yelled. His hand was shaking, and George could tell that he had never done anything like this before. That's the guy that shot me, explained the officer. Son, why are you doing this? Asked George. You need to put the cannon away. Somebody else might get hurt. The young man was confused. Shut up, old man, or I'll shoot you too. Now give me the cash. The cop was reaching for his gun. Put that thing away, George said to the cop. We got one too many in here now. He turned his attention to the man. Son, it's Christmas Eve. If you need money, well, then here. It ain't much, but it's all I got. Now put that pea shooter away. George pulled $150 out of his pocket and handed it to the young man, reaching for the barrel of the gun at the same time. The young man released his grip on the gun, fell to his knees, and began to cry. I'm not very good at this, am I? All I wanted was to buy something for my wife and son, he went on. I lost my job. My rent is due. My car got repossessed last week. George handed the gun to the cop. Son, we all get in a bit of squeeze now and then. The road gets hard sometimes, but we make it through the best we can. He got the young man to his feet and sat him down on a chair across from the cop. Sometimes we do stupid things. George handed the young man a cup of coffee. Being stupid is one of the things that makes us human. Coming in here with a gun ain't the answer. Now sit there and get warm and we'll sort this out. The young man had stopped crying and he looked over to the cop. Sorry I shot you. It just went off. I'm sorry, officer. Shut up and drink your coffee, the cop said. George could hear the sounds of sirens outside. A police car and an ambulance skidded to a halt. Two cops came through the door, a gun strong. Chuck, you okay? One of the cops asked the wounded officer. Not bad for a guy who took a bullet. How did you find me? GPS locator in the car. Best thing since sliced bread. Who did this? The other cop asked as he approached the young man. Chuck answered him. I don't know. The guy ran off into the dark, just dropped his gun and ran. George and the young man both looked puzzled at each other. That guy work here? The wounded cop continued. Yep, George says, just hiring him this morning. Boy lost his job. The paramedics came in and loaded Chuck onto the stretcher. The young man leaned over the wounded cop and whispered, Why? Chuck just said, Merry Christmas, boy. And you too, George, and thanks for everything. Well, looks like you got one doozy of a break there. That ought to solve some of your problems. George went into the back room and came out with a box. He pulled out a ring box. Here you go. Something for the little woman. I don't think Martha would mind. She said it would come in handy someday. The young man looked inside to see the biggest diamond ring he ever saw. I can't take this, said the young man. It means something to you. And now it means something to you, replied George. I got my memories. That's all I need. Oh my goodness, I'm so teary-eyed. Sorry. It's been that kind of day. George reached into the box again. An airplane, a car, and a truck appeared next. They were all toys that the oil company had left for him to sell. Here's something for that little man of yours. And the young man began to cry again as he handed back the 150 that the old man had handed him earlier. And what are you supposed to buy Christmas dinner with? You keep that too, George says. Now get home to your family. The young man turned with tears streaming down his face. I'll be here in the morning for work. That job offer's still good. Nope, I'm closed Christmas Day. See you the day after, George said. Ah, George turned around to find that the stranger had returned. Where'd you come from? I thought you left. I have been here. I have always been here, said the stranger. You say you don't celebrate Christmas. Why? Well, after my wife passed away, I just couldn't see what all the bother was. Putting up a tree and all seemed a waste of a good pine tree. Baking cookies like I used to with Martha just wasn't the same by myself. Besides, I was getting a little chubby. The stranger put his hand on George's shoulder. But you do celebrate the holiday, George. You gave me food and drink and warmed me when I was cold and hungry. The woman with child will bear a son, and he will become a great doctor. The policeman you help will go on to save. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. You know, when you work on divine enlightenment, it really blasts your heart open. Oh. All right. Stranger put his hand on George's shoulder. But you do celebrate the holiday, George. You gave me food and drink and warmed me when I was cold and hungry. The woman with child will bear a son, and he will become a great doctor. The policeman you help will go on to save 19 people from being killed by terrorists. The young man who tried to rob you will make you a rich man and not take any for himself. That is the spirit of the season, and you keep it as good as any man. George was taken aback by all the stranger has said. Then how do you know all this? Asked the old man. Trust me, George, I have the inside track on this sort of thing. And when your days are done, you will be with Martha again. Oh, boy. George watched as the old leather jacket and the torn pants that the stranger was wearing turned into a white robe. A golden light began to fill the room. You see, George, it's my birthday. Merry Christmas. George fell to his knee and replied, Happy birthday, Lord Jesus. Merry Christmas. Oh, well, it's going to be a mess tomorrow, that's for darn sure. I said some of this would be heartwarming, didn't I? Oh, okay, I need something funny. Oh, oh, funny, funny. Okay. Oh, it was about 5 years ago. I was trying to lose a few pounds, so I was staying away from carbs. That's when I met my husband, Rob. On our first date, he booked the next two. He liked me. I liked him. Things were looking really good. He picked me up in a Cobra Mustang, and his pathetic attempt to win me over with a car totally worked. I'm not shallow, but since I spent most of my 20s picking men up because I didn't want my hair to frizz in their non air conditioned jalopies on three wheels and a 15-year-old spare, I welcomed his fancy sport car with open arms. We arrived at the restaurant, and Rob was ordering food. I hadn't allowed myself to eat in years. I didn't want to be that girl. So I ate, drank, and oh, was so merry. Later, we shopped a bit. Rob surprised me by buying an expensive pair of shoes that he caught me eyeing. Was this love? That's when it happened. Gas strikes in two different ways. Uncontrollable toots or sharp shooting pains that feel a lot like dying. I thought I was dying. Not to make a scene, I told Rob I suddenly wasn't feeling well and probably needed to head home. On the way home in his Cobra, he tried to hold my hand and ask me lots of questions, but I wasn't having any of it. The pain was so bad. It felt like I was being stabbed with a bunch of tiny little forks. Then I realized, may God, my God, help me. I have a horrendous fart on deck. I'm in trouble, big trouble. The more I held it in, the more pain would shoot through my stomach and down my legs. I was even having to raise myself off the seat, gripping onto my door in the dashboard. Seriously, you need to hurry. I'm in a lot of pain, I managed to say through gritted teeth. Wow, it's that bad? What's wrong? Do I need to take you to a hospital? How do you tell a man you just started dating that the reason you're writhing in pain is because you have to fart? Well, you can either tell him or, like me, let the fart speak for itself. People, hear me. There was nothing I could do. As impressive as I am with sphincter control, this was way out of my hands. Slowly, it eked out. The more I tried to stop it, the more it forced its way through the door. However, to my pleasant surprise, there was no sound. I sat silently, sweat accumulating above my upper lip. Okay, maybe I got away with it. Maybe I'm home free. Then it hit me. Not an idea, a cloud, a horrific fart cloud. Not a, am I smelling with it? Oh, maybe am I smelling something sort of way? More like a, is something dead and rotting in your trunk and am I in hell sort of way? Suddenly I panicked. Roll down the window, I screamed. Yes, I literally screamed it like I was in a horror movie. What? Why? Rob asked, starting to freak out because I was freaking out. I can't roll down the windows. Unlock it. Unlock it. What's going on? Rob yells back to me. Why are you? Then it hit him. I could see it in his eyes. Was it surprise, horror? Water started to accumulate at the base of his eyelids. Oh my God, I can taste it, he screamed. Roll down the windows as I screamed. The tooth started to flood out uncontrollably. I scratched and clawed at the window like I was being kidnapped. Rob, unable to see either by fire cloud or panic, kept turning on the windshield wipers instead of unlocking the window. It was chaos. We were acting like we were under siege by gunfire. We were under siege, all right, just not by gunfire. Finally, he was able to hit the right control and he rolled down our windows. We both gulped in fresh air. I was horrified, yet happy to be alive. Then remember, I just farted on the man of my dreams and sort of wished I was dead. We sat silently for the rest of the way home. Although the shooting pains had subsided, I now desperately needed to use the bathroom in an urgent, explosive kind of way. He pulled up to my apartment, and before he could come to a stop, I had already jumped out. Okay, thanks for dinner. Sorry about the fart. Love the shoes, and ran into my apartment like I was running from the cops. I burst through the door and ran straight for the bathroom. I was able to finally unleash and make noises that no one should ever, ever hear coming from another person. Then I heard it, Rob's voice, right outside my bathroom door. Anna, you left your shoes in my car and your front door was open. Where do you want me to put them? Get away from the door, I screamed like Reagan from The Exorcist. Okay, I'm sorry. Are you okay? Toot toot splatter, ungodly noise. I'm fine, Rob. Just leave the shoes there. I'll call you later, okay? Okay, are you sure you're. I'm fine. Just get away from the door. This man, I mean, I love him, but take a freaking hint. Finally, I heard the front door shut and the Cobra engine zoom away. I thought that was the last I'd hear from him. I didn't think it was possible to ever see a man again after he screams he can taste your fart after only knowing you for 48 hours. But to my surprise, I did. A couple days later, actually. Now we're married and he's lying on the couch while I type this. It was your rack that saved you, he just lovingly reminded me. Well, thank you, boobs. You saved us. You saved our destiny. Oh, okay. I thought that was cuter. Yeah. I have so much to choose from, right? Okay. Where is my woman joke? Oh, saw that one. Okay. Oh, you get to come up front. Oh my goodness, where'd you go? Huh. Well, go figure. So much for putting things in order. Oh, here it is. All right. Okay. So a friend sent this to me. A husband returns to a cabin after several hours of fishing and decides to take a nap. Although not familiar with the lake, his wife decides to take the boat out. Since it's such a beautiful day, she motors out a short distance, anchors, and reads her book. Along comes a game warden in his boat. He pulls up alongside the woman and says, "Good morning, ma'am. What are you doing?" "Reading a book," she replies, thinking, "Isn't that obvious?" "You're in restricted fishing area," he informs her. Sorry, officer, but I'm not fishing, I'm reading." "Yeah, but you have all the equipment. I'll have to write you up a ticket." "For reading a book," she replies. "You're in a restricted fishing area," he informs her again. "But officer, I'm not fishing, I'm reading." "Yes, but you have all the equipment. For all I know, you could start at any moment. I'll have to write you up a ticket and you'll have to pay a fine." "Well, if you do that, I'll have to charge you with sexual assault," says the woman. "But I haven't touched you," says the game warden. "That's true, but you have all the equipment. For all I know, you could start at any moment." "Have a nice day, ma'am," and he immediately departed. Moral: never argue with a woman who reads. It's likely she can also think. So there's something back here. Nope. Okay. Oh, I can't read that one anymore because that one's obsolete. Okay, the old lady handed her bank card to a bank teller and said, "I would like to withdraw $10." The teller told her, "For withdrawals less than 100, please use the ATM." The old lady wanted to know why. The teller returned her bank card and irritably told her, "These are the rules. Please leave if there's no other matter. There's a line of customers behind you." The old lady remained silent for a few seconds and handed the card back to the teller and said, "Please help me withdraw all the money I have." The teller was astonished when she checked into the account balance. She nodded her head, leaned down, and respectfully told her, "You have 300,000 in your account, and the bank doesn't have that much cash currently. Could you make an appointment and come back tomorrow?" The old lady then asked how much she could withdraw immediately. The teller told her any amount up to 3,000. "Well, please let me have 3,000 now," she said. She told the teller, and the teller then handed it to her very friendly and respectfully. The old lady put $10 in a purse and asked the teller to deposit $2,990 back into her account. The moral of this tale is don't be difficult with old people. They spend a lifetime learning skills. Ha. All right. So this is between God and a horse. God, he's inventing horses. God to the horse, "You can run fast." Nice. Horse, nice. God, "A little human will sit on you and hit you with a stick." The horse, "Huh?" God, "He get cash and a trophy if you win." Horse, "Dude, what?" God, "If you break a leg, you get shot." Horse, "Yo, WTF." God, "You got a 4-foot dick." Horse, "Okay, I'm in." All right, so this is supposedly the joke of the year. You're in the middle of some kind of project around the house, mowing the lawn, putting in a new fence, painting in the living room, or whatever. You're hot and sweaty, covered in dust, lawn clippings, dirt, or paint. You have on your old work clothes. You know the outfit: shorts with a hole in the crotch, old t shirt with a stain from who knows what, and an old pair of tennis shoes. Right in the middle of this great home improvement project, you realize you need to run to Home Depot to get something to help complete the job. So, depending on your age, you might do the following. So, if you're in your 20s, you stop what you're doing, you shave, take a shower, blow dry your hair, brush your teeth, floss, and put on clean clothes. Check yourself in the mirror and flex. Add a dab of your favorite cologne because you never know. You might just meet some pretty hot chick while standing at the checkout line. And you went to school with the pretty girl running the register. Now, you're in your 30s. You stop what you're doing, putting on clean shorts and shirt. You change your shoes. You married the hot chick, so no need for much else. Wash your hands, comb your hair, check yourself in the mirror. Still got it. Add a shot of your favorite cologne to cover the smell. The cute girl running the register is a kid's sister to someone you went to school with. All right, so now you're in your 40s. Stop what you're doing. You put on a sweatshirt that's long enough to cover the hole in the crotch in your shorts. You put on different shoes and a hat, wash your hands. Your bottle of Brute cologne is almost empty, so you don't want to waste any of that on a trip to Home Depot. Check yourself in the mirror and do more sucking in than flexing. The hot young thing running the register is your daughter's age, and you feel weird thinking she is spicy. And now you gravitated to your 50s. Stop what you're doing, put on a hat, wipe the dirt off your hands, onto your shirt, change shoes because you don't want to get the dog crap in your new sports car. Check yourself in the mirror. And you swear not to wear that shirt anymore because it makes you look fat. The cutie running the register smiles when she sees you coming, and you think, you still got it. Then you remember the hat you have on is from Bubba's Bait and Beer Bait, and it says, I got worms. So now you're in your 60s. You stop what you're doing. No need for a hat anymore. Hose the dog crap off your shoes. The mirror was shattered when you were in your 50s. You hope you have underwear on so nothing hangs out the hole in your pants. The girl running the register may be cute, but you don't have your glasses on, so you're not sure. Finally, in your 70s, stop what you're doing. Wait to go to Home Depot until the drugstore has your prescriptions ready too. Don't even notice the dog crap on your shoes. The young thing at the register stares at you, and you realize your balls are hanging out the hole in your crotch. In your 80s. Stop what you're doing. Start again, then stop again. Now you remember you need to go to Home Depot. Go to Walmart instead and wander around, trying to think what it is you're looking for. Fart out loud and you think someone called out your name. You went to school with the old lady who greeted you at the front door. Okay, in your 90s and beyond. What's a Home Depot? Home Deephoe. Okay, Home Depot. Something for my garden? Where am I? Who am I? Why am I reading this? Did I send it? Did you? Who farted? Oh my God. Oh, oh my God. Well, that takes us to the end of the show. Oh my God. Well, I hope you enjoyed it and laughed a little bit. Um, this is Cathy Bilsky, the Quantum Leap Let Light Unite show on UPR and radio, and this is Friday, December 24th. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a very safe, incredibly happy holiday, no matter where you are, what you're doing. Have a very safe week, and thanks for tuning in, and maybe I'll catch you next week for New Year's Eve. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. But aloha and happy holidays.